All right. Good day, class. Welcome to our new video lecture for this 2022 about financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies. This under chapter 9 of book of Sus Vernum Milan. So in here, first, ano nga ba yung conventional financial statement preparation? So the conventional financial statement are prepared using the stable monetary unit assumption. So in this assumption, state that money is the appropriate unit of measurement for economic activities. Right. So the purchasing power of this assumption of money is assumed to be stable, and therefore the price level changes are ignored. So the inflation and deflation is not recognized in this stable monetary unit assumption. However, when the effect of price level change on the purchasing power of money, so there's changes in the price level, is no longer negligible, meaning hindi na siya normal. The usefulness of financial statement preferred under the stable monetary unit assumption is significantly undermined. So the valuation of assets and liabilities becomes misleading. So misleading na siya. Kasi yung mga amount or yung amount na naka-represent doon sa financial statement natin is hindi na siya doon naka-base doon sa current general price level. So misleading na siya. And the comparability of financial statement is significantly reduced. So hindi mo na ma-compare yan sa financial statement, the current or previous financial statement. Therefore, so dito na papasok si PAS 29, si Philippine Accounting Standard 29. In such instance, the financial statement need to be restated to improve their usefulness. So, from stable monetary unit assumption, i-adapt natin yung accounting application ni PAS 29. Yung financial statement is the statement of financial statement. All right. So, ano nga ba yung purchasing power? So, in the next slide, and purchasing power determines how much goods and services that the money can buy. So, yung hawak na money mo, ang power na makapagbili ng goods and services. So, meron tayong tinatawag na inflation and deflation. So, first, inflation, the decrease in the purchasing power of money. Take note, class, the decrease. Pag may inflation, decrease yung purchasing power of money. Due to what? The increase of general price level or the GPI, the General Price Index. So, mayroon tayong inverse relationship between the general price level and the purchasing power. Pag nagtaas yung mga bilihin natin, the general price level, bababa yung purchasing power ng money natin. That is inflation. Plus, so inverse relationship yung nila. Yeah. Si ano naman, deflation, the increase in the purchasing power of money due to decrease ng general price level. So, bababaan yung mga price ng goods and services natin. So, i-increase yung purchasing power ng money natin. Yan. That is inflation and deflation. So, let's define the hyperinflation. Okay, from the word inflation and hyper. So, sa hyper para hindi na normal yung inflation, kumbaga. Hyperinflation. So, this refers to loss of purchasing power. Loss of purchasing power. So, may loss na mangyayari na pag hyperinflation of money at such a rate that comparison of amounts from transactions and other events that have occurred at different times, even within the same accounting period, is misleading. Ibig sabihin, yung loss of purchasing power of money, even in the same accounting period or the same within the accounting period, ramdam na ramdam mo yung inflation. Parang, kumbaga, hindi na pangkaraniwan, abnormal na yung inflation na nangyayari sa economy. So, malaki yung pagka-loss ng purchasing power of money. That's why, yung accounting natin, yung ano natin dun sa financial statement presentation is misleading na even ramdam na ramdam natin, even within the same accounting period, mabilis yung inflation. So, tinatawag siyang hyper, abnormal na, hindi na pangkaraniwan yung inflation rate. Pagtaas, pagbaba ng purchasing power. Masyadong mabilis yung, there's a rapid changes of general price level. So, that's why may papasok na yung loss of purchasing power natin. So, kaya nga sinasabi, hyperinflation, of course, when inflation is very high. So, diyan papasok si hyperinflation. So, abnormal na yung inflation niya, very high na. All right? So, PAS 29 shall be applied to the financial statements, including the consolidated financial statement of any entity whose currency is the currency of hyperinflationary economy. So, pag hyperinflationary economy, balikan natin si PAS 29. Ano yung mga standard doon na dapat nating bantayan in preparing the financial statement with regard to the hyperinflationary economy? So, ano nga ba yun? Mayroon tayong tinatawag na restatement of financial statement. I-restate natin yung financial statement natin based doon sa general price level. Kasi yung general price level din yung doon nakabase yung mga inflation natin. Yun yung current price na dapat susundin natin. Excuse me. However, PAS 29 does not establish an absolute rate at which hyperinflationary is deemed to arise. So there is no absolute rate which we can conclude that this rate or this is under hyperinflationary. It is a matter of professional judgment. Right. So, what are the indicators of hyperinflationary? So let's discuss it one by one. Hyperinflationary is indicated by characteristics of the economic environment of a country, which include but not limited to the following. First is the general population prefers to keep its wealth of non-monetary assets. Yan. Prefer nila yung non-monetary assets or in relatively stable foreign currency. Ibig sabihin, yung mga tao daw, mas preferred nila na ilagay nila yung wealth nila doon sa non-monetary assets. So, later, di-discuss natin ano yung monetary assets and non-monetary assets, monetary items, non-monetary items. So, common examples of non-monetary assets are those not fluctuate yung mga ano nila. So, example niyan is land. Land. Diba? So, si land, hindi hindi masyadong maapektuhan yung 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 price pag mayroong hyperinflationary, hindi bababa. Instead, tataas pa nga. Kasi kung tataas yung mga bilihin, yung general price level ng mga goods and services, malamang sasama yung price ng land mo doon. So sa land, there is a capital appreciation rather than to keep your wealth on a cash or a money. Kasi nga, doon sa monetary items. Kasi nga, si monetary items, mag-change yung purchasing power niya if ever there is inflationary economy. So, sa general population, mas prefer nila to keep its wealth to non-monetary assets. Kasi nga, pag hindi siya maapektuhan, hindi magano yung purchasing power ng non-monetary assets. Kasi wala naman yung purchasing power si non-monetary assets like si land. Pero mag-a-appreciate yung value niya pag mayroong hyperinflation. Kasi tataas din yun, malamang tataas din. Kung tataas yung mga bilihin ng goods and services, malamang yung bilihin ng land, yung price ng land mo na binili is sasama yan, tataas din. So, indicators yan na doon sa hyperinflation or in a relatively stable foreign currency. So, mostly, doon sila bumibili sila ng mga foreign currency na stable like dollar. Yan. Para pag mayroong hyperinflation nila, yung purpose nila dyan, pag mayroong hyperinflation economy, yung sa local currency nila, hindi siya masyadong maapektuhan yung loss. Hindi masyadong maapektuhan yung loss ng hyperinflation. Kasi nga, nilagay nila doon sa stable foreign currency like dollar. So, amounts of local currency held are immediately, yan, same pa rin scenario yan, immediately invested to maintain purchasing power. So, yung anong hawak mo na monetary asset dyan, or example, la cash na lang, or the local currency, your money na hawak mo. So, i-invest ka agad doon sa anong pwedeng magandang rate of return, higher than the inflation rate. Kasi nga, pag ini-keep mo lang yan doon sa money mo as money, pag time na hyperinflation na, yung purchasing power ng money mo is bababa yan. Rather than, except if i-invest mo yan doon sa investment na higher yung rate of return compared sa inflation, para hindi mo ramdam yung loss ng purchasing power ng money mo. Right? So, letter B, the general population regard monetary amounts not in terms of local currency. And balik na naman sa local currency, but in terms of relatively stable foreign currency. So, mas prefer yun na doon na natin doon sa stable foreign currency. Mostly, iba, bumibili ng mga dollar. Kasi nga stable yung foreign currency. So, the price may be quoted in that currency. Kumbaga, kung mayroong customer ka, bibili siya ng goods sa'yo or services, pwede mo siya i-quote doon sa stable foreign currency. So, if ever na mayroong loss or mayroong hyperinflation, so, hindi masyadong maapektuhan yung receivables mo or yung cash in mo na matatanggap mo from the customer. Kasi nga, doon siya naka-based, yung price mo naka-based doon sa stable foreign currency. Alright? So, the sales and purchases on credit take place at price that compensate for the expected loss. Expected loss. Take on your class. Expected loss of purchasing power during the credit period. Even if the period is short. So, ibig sabihin, just like for example sa sales, Pag nagbenta ka, i-anticipate mo na yon, yung expected loss mo. I-add on mo na yun sa price, magiging price ng sales mo doon sa customer mo. Right? So, example, 30 days. So, 30 days counting one day to 30 days. So, pag 30 days, pag makolekta mo na siya, kasama na yun yung expected loss doon sa binayaran niya. So, pag mayroong loss of purchasing power, hindi ka masyadong maapektuhan. Kasi nga, isinama mo na doon sa price mo yung expected loss, even in a short period. Right? Yan. Interest rates, wages, and prices are linked to a price index. Mayroon tayong tinatawag na general price index or specific price index, di-discuss natin later. So, yung interest rates mo daw, wages, and prices are linked. So, same pa rin to doon. Link mo doon, parang ina-expect mo na yung changes ng price. So, link to price index. So, si price index kasi, yun yung current price or general price dun sa goods and services natin. So, doon na natin ibabase yung price natin. So, the last one is the cumulative inflation rate over 3 years is approaching or exceeds 100%. Yan. 100%. So, madali lang itong i-identify itong last indicator. Kasi nga, mayroon tayong data dito. Mayroon tayong pagbabasihan. Kumbaga. So, exceed 100% yung inflation rate niya. Cumulative inflation rate. Alam niyo naman paano mag-compute ng cumulative, di ba? Even in a math subject natin, business math natin, alam, tinuturo paano mag-compute ng cumulative inflation rate. So, when we see cumulative, diba, kumbaga yung interest, mag-earn pa rin ng interest. Yan. So, madali lang i-identify. So, as an indicators of hyperinflationary, si letter E. Kasi nga, mayroon tayong data pinagbabasihan dyan. Alright? So, that's all. That's some of the indicators of hyperinflationary economy. So, yun nga, sinabi natin, anong yung monetary and non-monetary items? Kasi diniscuss doon kanina, monetary, non-monetary items. Kasi the general population must prefer nila mag-keep its wealth to non-monetary items, non-monetary assets. So, anong mga ba si monetary items? Yeah. Si monetary items, money held and items to be received. Take note class, money held. So, yun yung cash na hawak mo. Items and items to be received or paid. So, receivable in a fixed or paid in a fixed or nakalagay or determinable amount of money. So, si monetary items is either monetary held first and items to be received, yung receivable natin in a fixed or determinable amount or paid in a fixed or determinable amount without reference to future price specific goods or service. So, tandaan natin, money held and items to be received or paid in a fixed or determinable amount. So, yun yung definition ni monetary items. Other than that is non-monetary items. The peso amount of which they are presented in the financial statement differ from what they are actually realized or represents. So, ano yung amount na naka-present doon sa financial statement, hindi yung talagang actually na marireceive mo on that date or marirealize on that date. Like si property plant equipment, example, 1 million. Hindi naman talaga 1 million na makukuha mo dyan. Yan, sa financial statement, yung anong amount na naka-represent dyan. So, mako-consider yan as non-monetary item. Whereas si monetary items, kung ano yung naka-present doon sa financial statement, yun talaga yung magagamit mo na amount or marireceive or mapipaid, magamit mo as your payment. Like si cash. Diba? Ano yung value na naka-present doon sa financial statement, yun na talaga yung gamit mo. So, consider siya as monetary items. So, si monetary items lang mayroong loss of purchasing power. Alright? Later, malalaman natin ano yung mga examples. Okay. Next slide. So, ito na nga. Ito na yung mga examples ng non-monetary and monetary items. So, mag-start tayo sa pinakauna doon sa financial statement natin. Yung si cash and cash equivalents. Si cash and cash equivalent ba is considered as monetary items? Yes, naka-check dyan. So, si cash and cash equivalent is monetary items. And how about si loans, lease, and receivables and the related allowances? So, take note class, related allowances. So, considered pa rin siya as monetary items. Kasi nga, nakalagay doon, money, definition sa monetary items is money held and can be received or paid in a fixed or determinable amount. Diba si receivables is, kung ano yung receivables na nakalagay sa financial statement natin, yun yung receivables na ma-receive natin in a fixed or determinable amount. Fixed and determinable amount. Fixed or determinable amount. How about sa inventories? Bakit non-monetary item siya? Kasi nga, hindi naman siya ma-consider as money held. Talagang hindi siya consider money held kasi inventory nga siya. Then, hindi rin siya ma-consider as item to be received. To be received and paid. To be received in a fixed and determinable amount. So, fixed ba yung amount? Di ba mabase yung amount niya? Nag-change yung amount niya sa inventories. So, then, hindi siya determinable amount. Yan. Si inventories considered as non-monetary. Prepayments. So, si prepayments, except for prepaid interest, is considered as monetary. Monetary, si prepaid interest. While other prepayments, examples like prepaid rent, si office supplies, yan mga examples of prepayments, are considered non-monetary items. Kasi hindi naman siya item to be received in a fixed or determinable amount of money. Okay. Ito sa investment. So, during your intermediate accounting, part 1. So, investment in debt security and investment in equity security. So, ano nga ba? Sino nga ba yung makukonsider natin as monetary and non-monetary? So, in here, in the table, nakalagay sa monetary si investment in debt security if the accounting method used is at amortized cost. Yan. Pag amortized cost, si investment in debt security, automatic monetary item siya. While si investment in debt security as consider at fair value, nagpapaklit kasi yan si fair value. Yung amount na nakalagay sa financial statement, pwedeng magbago yan the end of reporting date based doon sa fair value. So, consider siya as non-monetary items. Kasi nga, comparing doon sa at amortized cost, kung ano nakalagay doon sa financial statement mo as 1 million, 1 million talaga yung face value na marireceive mo at the end of maturity date. Right? So, yun yung talagang amount na marireceive mo. So, determinable amount or fixed or determinable amount can be received. Yan yung definition ng monetary, can be received in a fixed or determinable amount of money. So, that's why si investment in security, if at amortized cost, considered as the monetary. How about si equity naman? Investment in equity. So, whether it is accounted for at cost, equity method, or a fair value method, considered as non-monetary si investment equity. So sa investment, si at amortized cost lang ang makonsider as monetary. Right? Si property plant, si cash surrender value. So, di ba? Ma-fall din siya sa receivable in a fixed or determinable amount. Si cash surrender value. That's why monetary item. How about si property plant equipment? Yung in-example natin kanina, di ba? Non-monetary is land, other equipment. So, considered as non-monetary. Same as intangibles kasi hindi siya pwedeng matawag as monetary, money held and item to be received or paid or in a fixed or determinable amount. Hindi rin. Dito naman tayo dun sa mga liabilities. Basta tayo sa assets. So, sa liabilities, we have here accrued expenses. So, accrued expenses is considered as monetary kasi can be paid in a fixed or determinable amount. Yan. Same is dividend payable. Can be paid in a fixed or determinable amount. Right? While si unearned revenues, so unearned revenues, hindi siya fixed or determinable amount of money. Kasi makonsider siya as non-monetary items. Si financial liabilities, same with definition of investment in debt security. Like kabaliktaran yan din sa liability natin, tayo naman ang magbibigay ng the end of maturity, magbibigay ng amount kung ano yung naka-state doon sa financial statement. Like si bonds payable. So if at amortized cost, considered as monetary liabilities. If accounted at fair value, considered as non-monetary. Right? Si contributed capital naman, yan, whether a share premium, composition of share premium and a share capital, hindi naman siya fixed or determinable amount, di ba? So meron nga siyang amount na nakalagay sa financial statement, hindi naman talaga yun. Yun ang makukuha mo. Pwede yung stock. Pwede yun siyang pwedeng mag-vary yun. Fluctuate yun siya. Pwede sa through stock dividend. So consider siya as non-monetary. Hindi siya kasama doon sa definition ng monetary na money held and can be received in a fixed or determinable amount. Right? Let's see, contributed capital. Mapapansin nyo, class, is wala dito si retained earnings. Bakit kaya? Kasi nga, si retained earnings, hindi siya considered as neither a monetary nor a non-monetary item, si retained earnings. It is a residual amount or a balancing figure after the restatement. Like for example, pag nag-restatement ka ng financial statement, comparable financial statement, after ma-restate mo lahat yung mga items na yun, the cash, loans, inventories, repayments, investment, cash surrender value, property like equipment, intangible asset, and the liability, accrued expenses, dividend, unearned financial liabilities, and contributed capital. After nun, yung balance, diba? Asset equals liability. Pag na total mo na yung assets, less mo na yung difference doon sa liabilities, yun yung difference na equity, kulang sa equity natin, which represent the retained earnings. So, siya na yung balancing figure after the restatement. Alright? So, ano nga ba yung price level change? Kanina, di binabanggit natin yung GPI or the price level change or the price index. The price level change is the increase or decrease in the price of goods or services in a given market during a given interval that includes the following. So ito yung changes. Like we have two, the general price level change and the specific price level change. So ano nga ba si general price level change? Change in the overall level of price of goods or services in the economy over time. So ito yung changes in general of goods or services. While si specific, from the word specific, naka-specific lang yung change niya na price doon sa specific goods or services. Mainly due to change in the supply and demand for a particular goods or services. So, diba, sa supply and demand natin na topic doon sa economics, ma-remember nyo yan. Example, kung yung corn, mataas yung supply, mataas nung demand ng corn sa shipment, mataas. puntang Manila, Cebu, kung anong party ng Pilipinas, mataas yung demand ng corn. So, probably, dito, once na makulang yung supply natin, kasi marami nang nagdi-demand, tataas yung price niya. Mag-change yung price ng isang corn. So, yun yung law of supply and demand. Pag-aralan nyo lang ulit yan. Law of supply and demand. All right. So, that's general price level change and the specific price level change. Okay. Dito tayo sa PAS 29, that is statement of financial statement. Ito yung pinaka-purpose ng standard natin sa PAS 29. Now, the company will restate their financial statement under na sila doon sa hyperinflationary economy. So, meron tayong tatlong method of accounting. Okay. So, we have historical cost accounting, current cost accounting, and the constant peso accounting. Si historical cost accounting, ito yung otherwise known as nominal cost or the historical exchange price spreads in actual transactions. Ito yung mostly ginagamit ng mga company, historical cost. Wherein, yung transaction price is based on the historical. Like, ano yung price na binili mo, yun yung i-record mo doon sa financial statement mo. Doon sa actual transactions na yun. Yun yung historical cost. Diba? Yun yung natin. Mostly ginagamit. While si current cost accounting, ito yung current replacement or current repurchase cost that is stated at the current specific price index. So si current cost nakabase doon sa specific price index. Yung specific change ng price level ng goods and services. So nakabase siya doon sa specific price index. So cost to be incurred in the present time, that is current cost. While sa constant peso accounting, peso that are restated to reflect changes in purchasing power based on the general price index. So hindi siya specific based sa dun sa general price index. So i-restate natin. So pag ni-restate natin si historical cost or si current cost to general price index, we are now on the constant peso accounting. Kumbaga. So, ano nga ba? If ever si company magamit ng historical cost, so pwede din siyang, example, historical cost, pwede din siyang mag-adapt dun sa current cost accounting, meaning i-restate niya yung financial statement based on the specific price index, specific sa goods and services na activities na events. So, yan. But, si current cost and si historical cost, if your economy is under hyperinflationary economy, ang sabi ng standard, si PS29, kailangan mo nang i-restate yung financial statement. So, from historical cost to constant peso or current cost to constant peso. Kasi nga, under na yung economy mo doon sa hyperinflationary economy. Magiging misleading na yung amount mo doon sa financial statement na ni-present mo kung gagamitin mo pa rin si historical cost or si current cost accounting. So, this PS29 requires the restatement of financial statement, whether it is historical cost or a current cost accounting, to determine or to adopt the constant peso accounting, which is based on the general price index. So take note class whether historical or a current cost accounting, basta yung economy mo is under a hyperinflationary economy na, so you should adapt PS29, the restatement of financial statement, to the constant peso accounting. Alright? So, paano nga naman, question, paano nga natin, sir, i-restate yung financial statement? So, dito yun. So, statement of financial statement, we have here, that's why diniscuss natin ano yung monetary items, non-monetary items. Kasi mahalaga yun na ma-identify natin yung monetary kasi magkakaiba yung, yung parang formula natin sa monetary items and non-monetary items. So, we have here, in the table, we have not restated, so hindi i-restate natin. Depende kung ano siyang items, so non-monetary items ba siya, or monetary items, or nominal accounts. Nominal accounts, hindi yung nakapresent doon sa financial statement natin na as income statement. Di ba? Ito yung nominal accounts. Real accounts is yung sa monetary items and non-monetary items natin. So, first, ano yung mga hindi i-restate natin doon sa monetary items? Yun yung current year balance. Current year balance. So, hindi daw nire-restate yung current year balance sa monetary items. So, kasi nga, pag monetary items, kung ano yung fixed or money held or fixed or received in a fixed or determinable amount, yun yung purchasing power niya at that year of reporting. Like cash, 5,000. Kung 5,000 the end of the year, yun yung amount na hawak mo, yun na yung amount na magbase na lang yun sa purchasing power niya. So hindi na kailangan siya i-restate pa sa monetary items. Ang kailangan na i-restate, what we need to restate is that the prior year balance. So, prior year balance. I-restate natin pag monetary items. Kasi nga, ang previous year niya, hindi na yung purchasing power niya and the current year, mag-iiba na yun. Yung 5,000 mo noon, hindi niya yan. Yung example, yung 5,000 mo noon, makakabili ng ang daming goods and services. Hindi na yan pareho this year. Ng 5,000 makakabili pa rin ng ganung karami ng goods and services. So that's why i-restate niya siya based doon sa general price index. Mayroon tayong formula din mamaya. Later, i-discuss natin. Si non-monetary items naman, ano yung mga dapat na hindi na i-restate? So ito nakalagay si net realizable value or fair value measured at, take note, reporting date. Example, calendar year, end of December 31, report ka ng financial statement. Then, mayroon tayong net realizable value or fair value that items measured at that date, December 31. So, di na kailangan i-restate kasi yung date na yan, yung amount, yung value na yan na nag-represent diyan sa reporting date yan is yun na yung amount na nakabase doon sa general price index natin. That date. So, no need na to restate. While, if the non-monetary items, if measured at cost, yan, kailangan natin siya i-restate class. Then, mayroon din tayong net realizable value or fair value. Magkaka-differ sila pag ang measurement date natin is other than the reporting date. Other than, example, calendar year, December 31. January or June, July. Basta other than December 31 or other than this reporting date. Pag na-measure dyan na date, kailangan mo siyang i-restate. Alright? Dito sa nominal accounts, hindi applicable yung nominal accounts na hindi i-restate. All nominal accounts kailangan i-restate. Plus, yan, nakalagay, all nominal accounts. From sales to expenses. Sales to expenses, nominal accounts, all nominal accounts kailangan i-restate. Right? So sir, anong formula sir gagamitin natin? Dito tayo sa baba. Mayroon tayong fraction na formula paano natin i-restate yung amount ng financial statement natin to get the restated amount of the financial statement. So, meron tayong general price index numerator. Kasi nga fraction, may numerator, may denominator. Yun yung the way tayo mag-compute, mag-restate. Mayroon tayong fraction. Madali lang numerator class. Kasi lahat sila, whether monetary items, non-monetary items, nominal accounts, yung numerator natin is the current GPI at the reporting date. Or reporting date GPI or the current GPI. So, lahat sila, yun yung ano natin, pare-pareho yung numerator. Doon tayo magkaka-differ sa denominator. Ano yung denominator ni monetary items? Ano yung denominator ni non-monetary items? Or ano yung denominator ni nominal accounts. Right? So, si monetary, start tayo kay monetary items, yung denominator niya is GPI on the reporting date. The monetary items balance was reported. So, GPI on the reporting date. Take note, yun yung, yun yung denominator. While dito si non-monetary items and si nominal accounts, pareho silang dalawa ng denominator. So, si GPI at transaction date, yun yung first priority. Silent na problem, transaction date o given ang transaction date o average rate, transaction date ang priority natin. Pag walang transaction date, hindi natin ma-determine yung transaction date, doon tayo sa average rate. Yan. Only for practical purposes. Yan. Yan. Only for practical purposes. Yan. So first, again, class, priority is the GPI at transaction date. Pag given, yung dalawa. Pag hindi given yung transaction date, doon tayo sa average rate. But mostly, company, mga practicality na lang, sa dami ng transaction date, in actual corporate world, dami ng transaction date, ginagawa nila, ina-average na lang nila. Ginagamit nila yung average rate. But in our computation, right, isang example sa problem, maka-encounter niyo kayo ng problem. Even, kung dalawa, silent ang problem, use the transaction date as your denominator. All right? So, yeah, that's in our theory for this hyperinflationary economies. So, in the next video lecture, we will discuss about problem solving, about hyperinflation. Mag-ano tayo ng video lecture sa paano tayo mag-solve ng mga small problems regarding this. But as to preparation of financial statement, comparative financial statement, how to reach state, use the formula on the theory that I've discussed, and then try to look the book of Zeus. Meron siyang comparative financial statement na in-illustrate. So try to solve it, but using our formula na discuss. Kasi yung i-discuss ko on the next video is yung mga small problems lang as continuation for this hyperinflationary economies. So, thank you guys for listening, for watching this video. I hope you've learned from my video lecture. And see you on my next video lecture. Bye. Happy New Year.